Today, we are diving into a legal saga that's more complex, dramatic, and enduring than any spy thriller could ever hope to be. We are talking about the half-century-long battle for the soul and the legal rights of James Bond. This isn't just a simple case of a trademark dispute, it's a tale of betrayals, secret documents, and a villainous organization that, ironically, was at the heart of the entire legal conflict. It's the story of how one man's claim to co-authorship led to competing Bond films, a major studio lawsuit, and a fight that lasted for decades, finally ending with all the pieces of the puzzle coming home to rest. Welcome back to Entertainment and IPR Uncovered, the show that dissects the legal drama behind the silver screen. A spy story behind the scenes. The legal drama began not in a courtroom, but in a collaboration. In the late 1950s, James Bond author Ian Fleming worked on a film project with an Irish producer named Kevin McClory and a screenwriter named Jack Whittingham. The project never got made, but Fleming later took elements from their shared screenplay and used them for his 1961 novel, Thunderball. This was a classic case of copyright infringement. McClory sued Fleming, and in 1963, a UK court ruled in McClory's favour. The judgment was monumental. McClory was given the film rights to the Thunderball story and all the characters he had helped create, including the global criminal organization Spectre and its leader, Ernst Stavro Blofeld. In short, McClory had his very own, legally sanctioned piece of the 007 universe. IPR Insights, the problem of fractional ownership. This legal victory created a massive, decades-long problem for the official Bond producers, Eon Productions, and the studio, MGM. The Bond universe was now fractured. Eon Productions and MGM controlled the rights to all the other Bond books, but they couldn't use Spectre or Blofeld without McClory's permission. This is where intellectual property gets messy. One of the primary goals of IP law is to ensure a clear, singular owner, but in this case, ownership was split. This led to what became known as the Bond Wars, with McClory producing his own, rival Bond film, Never Say Never Again, 1983, which brought back original Bond actor Sean Connery, a move that was a direct and intentional slap in the face to MGM's ongoing Roger Moore films. The rivalry intensified again in the late 1990s when McClory sold his rights to Sony, a move that sent shockwaves through the industry. Sony announced it would create a rival Bond franchise, directly challenging MGM's most valuable asset. The legal battle began anew, with MGM suing Sony and McClory for trademark infringement and unfair competition. The core of this new lawsuit was a claim that McClory had delayed too long in asserting his rights to the entire cinematic Bond character and that Sony was simply trying to disrupt the market. The outcome? A final resolution. The decades of legal filings, threats, and injunctions finally came to an end in the early 2000s. In 1999, a US court ruled in favor of MGM, blocking Sony's attempt to create a rival Bond franchise. The court's decision was a major victory for the established brand, protecting it from a competing studio's efforts to use a fractional claim for a new film series. However, the legal war with McClory and his estate continued until a final, decisive moment in 2013. 7 years after McClory's death, his estate reached a settlement with MGM and Eon Productions. The terms were not disclosed, but the result was monumental. All remaining rights to the Thunderball story, Spectre, and Blofeld were transferred back to the official producers. This settlement meant that for the first time in over 50 years, all the key elements of the James Bond universe were under one roof. The resolution paved the way for the return of Spectre and Blofeld in the 2015 film Spectre, finally reuniting the franchise with its iconic villains. Closing note, at the end of an era. The James Bond legal saga is a masterclass in how intellectual property can shape, and nearly shatter, a cultural phenomenon. The case demonstrates the importance of clear ownership and the immense value of a brand's legacy. For decades, the shadow of Kevin McClory's claim hung over the franchise, limiting the creative choices of the official producers. The ultimate resolution was not just a legal victory, but a creative one, finally allowing the full story of James Bond to be told. What do you think? Was McClory justified in fighting for his claim for so long? Or did his actions ultimately hurt the franchise? Let us know in the comments below. If you want more fascinating tales from the world of intellectual property, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. We'll see you next time on Entertainment and IB Uncovered.